have a great chance here. But bear in mind you can lose it all if you're not careful. Out of all men that beg for a chance to drill your lots, maybe 1 in 20 will be oil men. The rest will be speculators. That's men trying to get between you and the oil men to get some of the money that ought by rights come to you. Even if you find one that has money and means to drill, he'll maybe know nothing about drilling. He'll have to hire the job out on contract, and then you're depending on a contractor who'll rush the job through so he can get another contract just as quick as he can. This is the way that this works.
Well, what is your offer? We're wasting time. Yes. Please.
I do my own drilling. And the men that work for me, and they are men I know. I make it my business to be there and to see their work. I don't lose my tools in the hole and spend months fishing for them. I don't botch the cementing off and let water in the hole and ruin the whole lease. I'm a family man. I run a family business. This is my son and my partner, H.W. Plainview. We offer you the bond of family that very few oil men can understand.
Western medicine has some good points for sure, and is great in an emergency, but people need to become aware that today's mainstream medicine, or allopathy with its focus on drugs, radiation and surgery, is at its foundation a Rockefeller creation. Behind their spurious facade of philanthropy, they are power-hungry tyrants intent on owning the entire world, and depopulating it through eugenics-based programs like forced sterilization, water fluoridation, abortions and vaccinations. They have either majorly or fully created and still dominate the United Nations, the World Health Organization, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, Planned Parenthood and many other organizations that either rule the world or influence culture to a large extent. Despite the dominance of Western media nowadays, even just 100 years ago the situation was very different. How did Western medicine and the giant conglomerate of multinational pharmaceutical companies, or Big Pharma for short, become the mainstream medical system in the United States and other first world nations? Well, in the late 1800s, John D. Rockefeller, the head of the Rockefeller family, controlled 90% of all oil refineries in the United States through his oil company Standard Oil, which was later on broken up to become Chevron and ExxonMobil. At the same time, around 1900, scientists discovered petrochemicals and the ability to create all kinds of chemicals from oil. This was a wonderful opportunity for Rockefeller, who saw the ability to monopolize the oil, chemical and medical industries at the same time. Scientists were discovering various vitamins and guessed that many pharmaceutical drugs could be made from oil. The best thing about petrochemicals was that everything could be patented and sold for high profits. But there was always one problem with Rockefeller's plan for the medical industry. The natural and herbal medicines were very popular in America at the time. Almost half of the doctors and medical colleges in the United States were practicing holistic medicine, using knowledge from Europe and Native Americans. Like other elite leaders of the New World Order who fit the description of an evil genius, Rockefeller used his oil money to buy out part of a massive German pharmaceutical cartel called IG Farben. This was the very same company that would later assist Hitler by manufacturing chemicals and poisons for war to implement his eugenics-based vision of a new world order, founded on radical supremacy by manufacturing chemicals and poisons for war. With the control of drug manufacturing under his wings, Rockefeller then embarked on a decidedly wicked plan. Wicked from the point of view of a free and healthy humanity, but brilliant from a business perspective. Rockefeller saw there was many types of doctors and healing modalities in existence at that time. From chiropractic to naturopathy to homeopathy to holistic medicine to herbal medicine and many more. He wanted to eliminate the competitors of Western medicine, the only modality which would propose drugs and radiation as treatment, thus enriching Rockefeller, who owned the means to produce those treatments. So, now armed with his ingenious idea of petroleum drugs, he went to his buddy Andrew Carnegie, another plutocrat who made his money from monopolizing the steel industry, who devised a scheme. From the prestigious Carnegie Foundation, they sent a man named Abraham Flexner to travel around the country and report on the status of medical colleges and hospitals. This led to the Flexner Report, which gave birth to modern medicine as we know it. Flexner submitted the report to Congress in 1910. The report concluded that there were too many doctors and medical schools in America, and that all the other healing methods which had existed for hundreds of thousands of years were unscientific quackery. It called for the standardization of medical education, whereby only the allopathic-based AMA would be allowed to grant medical school licenses in the United States. Unfortunately, Congress acted upon the conclusions and made them law, which meant that modern medicine or allopathy became the standard mainstream modality. Even though its three main methods of treatment in the 1800s had been bloodletting, surgery, and the injection of toxic heavy metals like lead and mercury to supposedly displace disease. It should also be noted that hemp was also demonized and criminalized not long after this. Not because there is anything dangerous about it, but because it was a huge threat, as both medicine and fuel, to the Rockefeller drug and oil industries respectively. Needless to say, the report talked about the need for revamping and centralizing the medical institutions. Based on the report, more than half of all medical colleges were soon closed. Homeopathy and natural medicines were mocked and demonized, and doctors were even jailed. To help with the transition and change of minds of other doctors and scientists, Rockefeller gave more than $100 million to colleges, hospitals, and founded a philanthropic front group called the General Education Board, the GEB. This is the classic carrot and stick approach. In a very short time, medical colleges were all streamlined and homogenized. All the students were learning the same thing, and medicine was all about using patented drugs. Scientists received huge grants to study how plants cure diseases, but their goal was to first identify which chemicals in the plant were effective, and then recreate a similar chemical, but not identical, in the lab that could be patented. A pill for an ill became the mantra for modern medicine. They systematically dismantled the curricula of these schools by removing any mention of natural healing power of herbs and plants, or of the importance of diet to health. The result is a system which to this day churns out doctors who are almost always utterly clueless about nutrition. A couple of decades after this, another law was passed that further entrenched Western medicine in America. The Hill-Burton Act of 1946 gave hospitals grants for construction and modernization on the condition they provide free healthcare to anyone in need. Although there are good sides to this, the downside was that once people had become dependent on this system for their healthcare needs, especially those on pharmaceutical pills which need to be taken day after day without end, the system switched into a paid system, and the Rockefellers found themselves with new lifelong customers. So now we are 100 years later, an entire society that is enslaved to corporations for its well-being. Big Pharma is focused not on the cure, but only on the symptoms, thus creating repeat customers. A perfect example would be cancer, as guess who founded the American Cancer Society in 1913? You got it right, the Rockefellers. The story doesn't stop there. Rockefeller and his elite mate, Carnegie, used their tax-exempt foundations from 1913 on to offer huge grants to the best medical schools all over America, on the proviso that only an allopathic-based curriculum be taught, and that some of their agents be allowed to sit on the board of directors. They called this efficient philanthropy, which, when through its Orwellian translation, means they wanted a return on their investment. Remember, all these synthetic drugs are isolates. Many are derived from plant compounds, but because nature cannot be patented and sold, Big Pharma has no interest in natural cures. What they do instead is to engage in biopiracy, research natural compounds, copy them or modify them slightly in a lab, then try to steal and patent them. If they get a patent, they then market their pill as a wonder drug, while simultaneously, through fake scientific research, suppress and criticize the original plant as being worthless, so you won't go to the source of the cure. The Rockefeller family, who almost single-handedly created the petrochemical pharmaceutical industry and conditioned the Western world to accept only allopathic medicine, actually travels the world with naturopathic doctors. In other words, in spite of the hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars worth of pharmaceuticals their empire has pushed on us, they travel with a doctor who opts for homeopathic remedies first, and only uses pharmaceuticals as an absolute last resort. That should tell you everything you need to know. If a drug dealer won't take his own drugs, it's pretty telling. 27 years ago, in September 1994, David Rockefeller, while speaking at a UN business conference, stated the following: "We are on the verge of a global transformation. All we need is the right major crisis and the nations will accept the new world order."
Are you an angry man, Henry?
About what?
Are you envious? Do you get envious?
I don't think so, no.
I have a competition in me. I want no one else to succeed. I hate most people. There are times when I look at people and I see nothing worth liking. I want to earn enough money I can get away from everyone. I see the worst in people, Henry. I don't need to look past seeing them to get all I need. I've built up my hatreds over the years, little by little. With these people